This is going to be the biggest dating advice you will ever hear, and no one really talks about this. And you're gonna be surprised about this because love alone is not enough. Love alone is not enough for a long-lasting, beautiful relationship ever. It's just, yes, love, romance, passion. These are all beautiful things and they make our relationship so much more spicy, and it brings so much flavor to the relationship. However, this is not the foundation of any relationship. They're essential, for sure, we can all acknowledge that, but that alone is not going to work. And this is a tough statement for many to hear because, in all these Hollywood rom-com movies, everyone tells you, yeah, we have a happy beginning plus a happy ending. Now, this is great, but there's always, even in these movies, this whole middle part where there's so much happening, like the story arc, right? So we can even see, even though it's so much portrayed that these Hollywood rom-com movies, it's so beautiful and it's so fun and light and passion here and sparks and flavors and fireworks and God knows what else. But again, this is not all of it, because love, romance, and passion is very fleeting. There are ups and downs, peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows, all of this is going to be there. And this is caused by, one, life just happens, maybe someone is going through a hard time because they lost someone really close, or because, they're sick, or whatever it may be. We're having a lot of stress and we just don't have the capacity to love as deeply, to have the passion as deeply as it was in the beginning. And now I don't even want to talk so deeply about like the honeymoon phase itself. But obviously this is another piece that is not going to be the same at all times throughout the whole relationship. So there are 6 different pieces that I identified that I believe they're absolutely essential for every relationship, long-lasting relationship, to work beyond the love, the passion, and the sparks. The most important one are your values. How much do you have shared values with your partner? And what I mean by that is, like, sure, there's some core beliefs. This comes from the way how you were raised, the things that you've seen over there that you really liked, that absolutely resonates with you, but also maybe the things that you identified, hey, this is really not the way how I want to live my life. And these things need to be very much shared in many ways with your partner. Not entirely, not 100%, but there needs to be a really, really good overlap between those. Because if your goals don't align, if the future that you see for yourself and your relationship is so off, then how is this going to work? Let me give an example. If someone has a shared value or has a value of family is so entirely important, and they have the life goal of having a family themselves, even though you might have all the passion in the world and there's so much love and depth in this relationship, but your partner really doesn't want to have any kids or any more kids, and they have their own reasoning why this is the case, how is this relationship really going to work? Either someone is willing to make a huge sacrifice, which is questionable if this is really advisable or not, because you could argue maybe that's not just a compromise, maybe that's really more a sacrifice, and there's a difference between compromising and sacrificing, right? So in order to build a future and have a long-lasting, stable foundation for your relationship, you need to have a strong overlap in your shared values. The second one is trust. I talk about this a lot. Trust is something that is broken very, very quickly, and it usually takes quite some time to develop. Now, in the beginning stages of relationships, there are kind of like 2 schools of thought. The first one is like, you get my trust from the very beginning until you show me otherwise, until you break it. And I think that's a very beautiful approach. And then the other school of thought is obviously, you know what? I'm not going to trust you fully straight away. I give you the bare minimum of trust, and the rest you kind of have to earn. And I understand that, too, and maybe it comes a little bit more from certain moments of pain and memories that you had in the past where your trust has been broken. So now you go the other way around and you want to give someone the opportunity, or almost like put them in a position like, you need to earn my trust. And I think actually the balance, a combination out of these 2, is probably the best. And everyone has to find their own balance between these 2. How much trust you want to give straight away, and how much trust needs to be earned in order to create more depth within the relationship. And that's really important, because if you don't have that trust in your relationship, how are you going to nurture that relationship? How are you going to nurture that partnership? And how are you going to reinforce to go deeper with more depth and more love and more trust into creating something very, very beautiful? The third one is respect. Now I think the way how women want to be respected by men and how men want to be respected by women is obviously different. However, this is absolutely a non-negotiable, and both need to understand, okay, what is the type of respect that I need to give to my man, and what is the type of respect that I need to require from my man? Obviously, kindness is such a huge one, and we need to be willing and able to value each other's opinions. And we need to respect if we are like having different opinions about something. And this admiration and the honor of the individuality is so important. And only if we can also respect each other so much that we can disagree, only then you actually create this foundation of respect as one of these core pillars, these core pieces in your relationship. Which brings me to today's sponsor. If you're stuck, lost, or confused when it comes to your relationship with men, and you don't know how to communicate your needs to him in a way that makes you feel seen, loved, and heard, then you must see this. Since every woman's personality and circumstance is so unique and so special to you, we have a free relationship assessment quiz that you can take in the link below. That quiz will give you a customizable action plan to give you the love that you deserve, because you're worthy of it and you do deserve it so, so much. So take our free relationship assessment quiz right now. And now, back to the video. So the fourth one is we need to understand we're not the same. Like clearly we're not the same. And that's so beautiful about this. This is actually what makes us even more attracted to the other person, because clearly he will have a lot of traits and characteristics that you absolutely admire that you don't have, and vice versa. So we need to be able to celebrate those. And it's really important to understand that like no one is going to fit 100% into our box, and the other person is also not going to fit 100% in your box. So why is this so important? Because these different perspectives, they can also be inspirations. They can also allow us to learn more from each other and strengthen the bond to a degree that if we don't embrace that individuality, if we don't embrace the fact that we are different, then we're missing this opportunity. And also, if we don't do that, how are we going to be able to properly, in a respectful, kind, and graceful way, are going to be able to navigate conflicts and disagreements? It's going to be very, very challenging, because if I can only put myself in my box, and I'm never going to take myself out of my box and put myself into another one, then it becomes very challenging to deal with anything that is not exactly the way how I want it. And that's not going to work. We all know that. So the fifth piece is going to be the ability and willingness to change and to adapt. The reality is this: life is constantly changing. We're constantly changing. There will always be new challenges and obstacles and opportunities that are coming my way, that are coming your way, and that are coming in the way, or for us in the way, actually, for our relationship. How could that look like? Let's say you have an option, you have an opportunity to get a new job in a new city. Now, I can just look at this as like, this is a huge obstacle, this is a huge burden, I don't want to deal with this, and like this is a big no-no. Or it can also be an opportunity for us as a relationship to grow. Maybe there's something for me as well. Maybe I have an opportunity as well. So being willing to compromise and figuring out ways, hey, how can I support my partner? How can I adapt and change in order to really allow my partner to thrive? That's so, so important. And the same way how we want to give that to the other person, we also need to be able to request this for ourselves from our partner. That's why love alone is just not enough, because there's so many more pieces that are absolutely essential in order to make, yes, love a very, very important foundation, but we need to integrate all these other bits and pieces to this as well. And the last piece that I would add to this is the commitment to growth, because continuous growth and commitment and this personal development is so, so essential, because yes, we want to pursue our own goals. And yes, we also need to push our partners so they can pursue their goals. If I'm becoming a hindrance to my partner's ability to grow and to flourish and to achieve whatever her aims and her goals are in life, then is this really love? Am I really the right person for her or for him if I cannot understand the fact, like, yeah, okay, relationships are dynamic and we need to evolve together. Okay, so let me wrap this up again. Why is love not enough? Because one, we need really a shared value system where there's a strong overlap of some core essential values. Trust and respect are so entirely important to build a long-lasting foundation that goes beyond love, that goes beyond passion. Because love and passion and romance is beautiful, it's essential, but it's fleeting. It's not going to be there. Trust, respect, shared values, that's something that can be constant in your relationship and even within yourself. If we can embrace that we're different and we can actually celebrate the fact that we're different and we're not the same, even though we have these overlap in some of these areas, absolutely, but still there's always something for us to learn, to grow, just learning from the other person, being inspired by the other person, pushing, believing in the other person as well. And we need to understand that relationships and love and romance, yes, that commitment to growth and the ability and willingness to shift and change in order for us to thrive, that importance of understanding that relationships are dynamic. That's so essential. And only then love and relationships can really flourish. Without these other 6 pieces that I just mentioned, love will not be enough.